Mr. Belvedere, 5 Things You May Not Have Known, next on Retro Serial. Beloved sitcom Mr. Belvedere ran on ABC for an impressive 6 seasons from 1985 to 1990, starring Christopher Hewitt as Mr. Belvedere or Lynn Belvedere, Bob Uecker as George Owens, and the rest of the Owens family, Eileen Graff as Marcia the mother, Rob Stone as Kevin the older brother, Tracy Wells as Heather the sister, and Bryce Beckham as Wesley, the lovable, troublesome maker younger brother. And while you might already know all that, here are 5 things you might not know about Mr. Belvedere. However, before we get there, please do me the honor of hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button. Also, hit the bell notification if you want to know when these things are available, and share it on your favorite social media. Those things right there would mean the world to me. If you want to go above and beyond and donate to what we're doing here at Retro Serial, hit us up on our Patreon page where we have both a tip jar, which is just $3 a month, and our Cornflake Club, which allows you 1-day access to most all videos and most all podcasts. And above and beyond that, well, there's really not much you can do. The most important thing is, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and share. All right, with all that said, let's go ahead and get to our list. And at number 5 is Mr. Belvedere was based on a book. Gwen Davenport wrote Belvedere, a novel, in 1947, where the main character, Belvedere, an English person, took a job with an American family as a babysitter and a nurse in order to do research on his own book. Now, I don't know, I feel like this is something everybody else out there already knew, but I didn't know until I started doing research for this project. If you have read the book itself, please let me know in the comments section below. And coming in at number 4, 3 successful movies, but 3 unsuccessful pilots. The novel Belvedere gave rise to 3 movies, the first of which was Setting Pretty, released in 1949, and the second was Mr. Belvedere Goes to College, released in 1949, and finally there was Mr. Belvedere Rings the Bell, released in 1951. And while these movies all had some measure of success, did you know that they tried to make a TV series based off the movies that was unsuccessful? Yes. Actually, there were 3 attempts between 1956 and 1965. The one that we know now, released in 1985, was its 4th attempt and finally its achievement. That is 3 times they tried to do this and didn't make it, and finally on the 4th one they made it. Listen, I've never seen any of these movies. If you've seen any of these movies, tell me, did you like them? Please leave it in the comments below. I'd really like to know more about the movies and more about what you think about the movies. Were they any good? Did you like them? Did you not like them? Let me know in the comments section below. And coming in at number 3, Mr. Belvedere Takes on AIDS. As I am fond of saying, 1980s, particularly 1980s sitcoms, were very issue-driven. Growing Pains took on the issue of drunk driving, Family Ties and others took on the issue of racism, Webster and other sitcoms took on the issue of illiteracy, but only Mr. Belvedere was brave enough to take on the issue of AIDS. In Season 2, Episode 16, titled Wesley's Friend, which aired in 1986, Danny, Wesley's friend, contracts AIDS from a bad blood transfusion and gets kicked out of school and the school play. The school play was about the presidents, and Danny was originally supposed to play Abraham Lincoln. However, after his departure, the role went to Wesley. The remainder of the program basically deals with both Wesley and Danny being bullied for having AIDS. Danny because he actually contracted the disease, and Wesley because he wore the costume that Danny wore, and people thought, well, maybe he got AIDS from wearing costumes that other people wore, I guess. However, not to worry, like all sitcoms, everything's resolved in the half hour. And in the last part, as Wesley is giving Lincoln's portion of the play, he stops the play and he says, this play was originally supposed to be given to my friend Danny, and he brings Danny up in spite of people being upset about it, and he lets Danny perform Lincoln in the play. And coming in at number 2, Sledgehammer and Mr. Belvedere go to war. Sledgehammer, another 1980s sitcom, was on the same network as Mr. Belvedere and, in fact, shared the same evening. They both appeared on Friday night. However, despite the fact that they shared the common network and a common evening, the creator, Alan Spencer of Sledgehammer, was not a fan at all of Mr. Belvedere, and in fact, in a few episodes of Sledgehammer, Mr. Belvedere was the punchline of a few of the jokes. And while it's kind of a commonplace today to make fun of Mr. Belvedere in some respects, it was considered rude back then, particularly given the fact that they were on the same evening and they shared the same network. However, Alan Spencer, in an interview, when asked if he was a fan of Mr. Belvedere, went so far as to say, is anybody? Do you think it was rude of Alan Spencer to make fun of Mr. Belvedere, particularly given the fact that they shared the same network? You let me know. Or was he ahead of his time? Let me know in the comments section below. And coming in at number 1, no chewing gum ever. In my last episode, 5 Things You Didn't Know About Growing Pains, I reported the bizarre ritual of the cast members, how they would take their chewing gum and stick it to the wall on a certain spot before they would go in for taping, and how Alan Thicke actually had some scripts from Growing Pain as mementos, but he really lamented the fact that he didn't get the chewing gum, which was a little bizarre. However, it was just the opposite at Mr. Belvedere. At Mr. Belvedere, Christopher Hewitt actually hated chewing gum and forbid any cast member from chewing gum while taping. And apparently at the beginning of each of the taping, he would make sure that his opposition to anyone chewing gum was well known and forbid anyone from chewing it. Eileen Graff told People magazine in 2000 that Christopher Hewitt was so imposing and had such an imposing voice that no one dared to disobey his command. So, do you think that's a little bizarre? Do you think that's a little overboard? Do you think he had the right to do that? Do you think the cast should have listened to him? Was there anything that was on my list that you wouldn't have had on the list? Is there anything that you know about Mr. Belvedere that wasn't on the list? You know, all that stuff, let me know in the comments section below. And thank you for watching this episode. Before we go, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share it on your favorite social media. Those things would mean the world to me. If you want to hit the bell notification so you don't miss a single episode, you are welcome to go ahead and do that. And if you want to support the show financially, head on over to our Patreon page. The link is in the description below. And until we meet again, stay retro, everyone.